PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, passing through stress and denial. In this slide, you'll see that the image shows and represents symptoms of PTSD forming from within a household, as well as through later stages of divorce from domestic violence. Throughout this semester, my film's focus has been on the effects that PTSD has on mental and physiological health of women. Women tend to stay in environments that they are used to. When violence occurs inside a victim's home, they tend to feel helpless, which quickly results to feelings of isolation, paranoia, substance abuse, and many more detrimental factors. An article written by Very Well states, several studies have found that the following relationship disillusion, many people manifest symptoms similar to those experienced by people who have survived highly stressful situations. In this slide, you can see that this image depicts an individual of former domestic violence and the trigger of being out of their protection of comfort or window of tolerance. While researching this topic, the concept of window of tolerance came about in conversation multiple times within the transition of domestic violence. Individuals can experience newfound window of tolerance. This is the way to identify and talk about the current mental state. Being inside your window means that you're doing okay and can function effectively. When you're outside of the window, it means you have been triggered and you are experiencing a traumatic stress response, as stated in the article written by National Alliance of Mental Illness. In this slide, the image explains how trauma can affect your window of tolerance. The trauma that is brought about into the victim's lives can cause for hyper and hypoarousal. It shows how the stress and trauma shrink an individual's window of tolerance. Within the disturbance of an individual's window of tolerance, this causes triggers forming more severe PTSD, along with effects such as panic attacks from lack of control and discomfort. Many domestic violence individuals experience this from the separation of trauma and social interaction expectancy. Disrupting someone's newfound window of tolerance can be set back, causing more anxiety, anger, and overwhelming mix of emotions strictly from loss of control and discomfort. In this last slide, the image shows the constant cycle of denial that is involved with domestic abuse survivors. First, there is the honeymoon stage, which leads to tension building up, and then the explosion hits. Throughout this research, many individuals experience a slow buildup to the true explosion or progression to domestic violence. Throughout these stages, denial is constant. Honeymoon is the pre-building stages with constant apologies for the mental abuse. The abuser may use gifts or promises to end the abuse and blame, also known as gaslighting. Throughout this stage, it leads up to the mental abuse such as yelling, anger, and swearing. The mental abuse progresses to the more physical aspects of the abuse, with attacks and embedding trauma or fear through threats. The embedding of this gaslighting and abusive behavior all starts mentally, causing a constant strain and routine of trauma. This consistency causes PTSD, which may be known as post-traumatic stress disorder, but in the social light of survivors, it's passing through stress and denial.